I wanted to talk to you, and maybe you could explain to everybody how this works, where if somebody's going to court to be tried, and then for some reason they're able to get off, whether it's a mistrial or a hung jury or whatever, how is the court allowed to bring you back?
Unless proven guilty. Okay.
There's the phrase right there. All right, let's talk about it. Clarify.
By the way, it's unless and not until. Okay, so unless we
wait, whoa, that's a big one right there too.
That's a
huge word. Say that again.
The phrase is actually innocent unless proven guilty, not innocent until proven guilty.
Okay, that's still big.
Because until is like we can just try you over and over and over and over and over.
It seems like they're using the word until.
It insinuates a bit of inevitability.
Yeah. But that's just what's going to be. Yeah. But prosecutors and judges say this all the time. I mean, honestly, I'll be honest with you. I catch myself saying until sometimes, right? The phrase has gotten publicized, but it's unless proven guilty. We have to remember that. We have to remember what our system really is based on, fundamentals. But as far as the retry, I wish I knew more about the Cosby case. I don't know. I didn't even know he was tried to begin with. I thought this was the first case. I have not been keeping up with it at all.
And a thing of disclosure, I was told it was retried. I did not go and do it, but it doesn't matter. Let's just say somebody's been retried.
Okay, you're not the only person that has said that, but I really don't know any kind of circumstances surrounding the case. But double jeopardy keeps you from being retried over and over and over again, so to speak. But
due to my ignorance, can you explain what double jeopardy terminology actually means 100%?
So jeopardy, when you go on trial and your life is at stake, your liberty is at stake, it's a jeopardy. We consider it to be jeopardy when the jury is going to judge you. And so if you're going to be judged and you started the judgmental type of process right through the court system, that's jeopardy. That's put your liberty in jeopardy.
Okay.
As soon as the trial starts. And so double jeopardy is supposed to prevent, stop the government from putting your life and liberty at jeopardy more than once. Double jeopardy clause.
On that particular thing that you were tried for in the first place.
Yes. Okay. So the courts always find colorful ways to make exceptions to everything. But here's the thing. You can't you can't structure a case and cause it to be mistried. In other words, there can't be something that causes a mistrial, right? Some especially from the defendant's standpoint, that causes a mistrial in the case, and then you have to come back and retry it. That's not double jeopardy. That's not because of the state's fault or anybody else's fault but your own. Okay? If a witness does something that makes it a mistrial, then it's for your benefit to get the mistrial. Does that make sense? Let's say a witness. I hope he didn't get mad at me. James Burks has a funny story. He's always saying when he went into jury duty, here he said, and Jimmy Morgan steps in there. He says, "I know Jimmy Morgan. If he arrested that boy, he must be guilty." Of course, he was trying to get off the jury, but if that happens, right, we're going to be wanting a mistrial. We're going to be wanting a new trial. Okay, technically, let's say the jury was impaneled at some point and some witness said something just like that. Okay, well, that's going to be. I'm sorry, folks. Well, man, I tell you what. Ooh, all these hash in there and all. Okay, got the cook-off going on. All right. If something happens, we're gonna need to retry it, and it's in my benefit to retry it if some witness gets up and says something crazy during the case. Okay, that they're gonna want to come back and do it again.
Can't you just take that segment out of it and say this does not pertain to it?
Man, you can't unring a bell.
Good point. Okay.
I mean, if the jury's heard it, you can't undo that.
You put a drop of black paint in a white bucket, so there's no way to get rid of it, right?
Right. The die.
Yeah, but that's always going to be there, though.
Yeah.
If you do the retrial, everybody's going to say, "Well, that guy said that before. It was in the other trial."
How are they going to know you're retrying it?
Heck, if I know, social media, newspaper.
And that's true. I mean, hey, you can't get around some of that stuff.
All right, keep going.
Well, you asked me another question. You asked about another. I mean, that's that. I mean, we could get super complicated into
wait, let me ask you-
what is this? What is the same charge? Because then courts go, well, it doesn't have the same elements that the original charge had, and therefore it requires more proof, and so it's not the same case. I mean, it's gotten out of hand, really, in my opinion, but still, it's complicated. These are complicated standards.
All right, I want to
to
simplify it though, because I still got part of me that's a little confused. If you got a retrial because of something that you just said, where somebody makes a comment and that doesn't help your case, and you restart it at that point, okay. But what happens if the person is found not guilty, but they come back again to court in another aspect of the same accusation? You're saying it's because there's another little segment of it that they want to retry that's not.
I'm gonna say in that scenario they can't do that. I bet that's not what happened. But yes, this does happen, and that's what I'm trying to tell you. The standard that they've come up with to figure out whether or not this is the actual same case, is the same charge, right? Is ridiculous. I have to go read them every time. I can't even quote it, but basically it requires proof that another one doesn't. Okay, and if it meets that standard, then it's possible they can retry you on it.
So here you are, you're in the courtroom, and you're thinking, I'm putting everything on the line this one time to be free, and all of a sudden, this change of events happen, or this situation gets thrown into the mix where now I got to do this all over again. It just doesn't seem fair. And the other part that doesn't seem fair to me, and this, I know this is totally off on a different tangent, is when somebody does get convicted of a crime, and they go serve their time, why do they come out with a loss of their rights and all that, as long as it's not heinous types of crimes?
Yeah, I mean, there's a big push in the legislature. We talked about the restoration of rights several times on this show.
I was just having a discussion with somebody that people up in New York are going to allow convicts to be able to vote so that the Democrats can get more votes. Yeah, that was a political comment. But, I mean, there's all
I don't
sorts
know
of
anything about
dead
that.
people voting and dead people voting twice. It's just weird. Anyway,
Well, that's what I'm going to
how do we go from this to this? Okay.
I mean, yeah. As far as double jeopardy is concerned,
Stick to the notes.
hey, if the state wants to get you, they can. But like, let's say Bill Cosby, from what I heard, I don't know anything about his case at all whatsoever, so it's a hypothetical. There was more than one girl involved. If there's 100 chicks that are alleging you did it, and something different to them, they could try you on every single one of those girls, probably. I mean, unless maybe they were all together, like it was one act, that maybe affected all of them. I was trying to find a way out of it.
Now, I can understand individual cases. If Mary Jane has a problem with whoever the guy is, and he's found to be innocent, but Betty Sue is a separate incident on a separate day. I mean, I totally get that. I get that.
And they could, because, I mean, I've got it all a lot of times, and we get into this argument. This happens. This is not rare. For is it like, let's say let's just say theft, for instance. Let's say I steal your gun.
Hell no.
Okay, yeah, you're gonna. that would be my last mistake.
That'd be
Wouldn't
your
it?
last mistake, that's right.
So let's say that I take something from you, and I start to run away. Is every act that I take, so is the act of taking theft, and then when I go through the door, is that another act of theft, and then when I get in the truck, is that another act of theft, and then how many times can this be, or is it all one act?
Well, I don't know, because a lot of things that I read in the paper is they've been charged with multiple things: avoiding arrest, assault of an officer, running through a stop sign, all in the same crime. Because if one doesn't fly, they can get him for another one.
Exactly. That's all. Yeah, you've seen the good TV shows. This happens. They're gonna just stack stuff on there and try to get the leverage to make you plea bargain, and that's what they're hoping for in the end. There's gonna be a couple of just cases that don't really make much sense, charges that don't really make much sense, but in the end,
wasn't it like Al Capone? They couldn't get him, so they got him for tax evasion.
Yeah. I mean, this is the prosecutor's way. It's been done this way for a long, long time.
Ladies and gentlemen, the number here is 254-697-6633. If you've got an interesting tidbit or a question or a comment that you want to talk about concerning this topic or some other topics that we've talked to, the number is 254-697-6633. Pull over on the side of the road, get your cell phone, give us a call. and I'd love to hear from you. I'll tell you what. Let's sidebar for a second, Ross. Last couple of weeks, you were talking about, or I was asking a question about restraining orders, and I just happened to see this article in the paper, and the headline is "Man reportedly breaks into home, commits assault." Let me read a little bit of the article, and then we'll take it from there. A man banned from a residence reportedly kicked in the home's door Saturday afternoon and attacked someone inside. A disturbance call came in at about 1:30. Temple Police Department spoke, blah, 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 blah. Officers reached the address and found this individual. He reportedly kicked in a door and assaulted a male inside. Kinsley was banned from the residence Friday. At one point, Kinsley threw a bottle at the male, and it broke on the man's head. The male had to be taken to Skyway Hospital, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we were talking about pieces of paper, restraining orders to keep people away. And I'm assuming, based on how this story is written, which isn't very clear, but it said on Friday before the incident he was banned from the residence. So I'm assuming there was some type of restraining order. And I wanted to just bring it back up again from everything you discussed, that piece of paper is only worth what it's written on. And doesn't really do much to keep somebody out if they want to get you, right?
Yes. I mean, this is a good example. This is not an uncommon occurrence. The thing about this also raises the issue. Remember, a big push for bail reform last year, and it almost got some of the things almost went through. Not really almost. I say almost, but it basically died because we ran out of time, and the legislature, they ran out of time to even consider it.
Wasn't it that, I forget who it was, but the lady, she did an incredible amount of money for the bail, like $1 billion.
They're billionaires. They're billionaires.
Yeah.
They're billionaires. They're making a political push. They're going after the criminal justice system as a whole, and because they don't like the way the criminal justice system, they tried to pick one of the, in my opinion, the most important parts of the criminal justice system, but that did not have the type of reputation and power behind it that maybe other parts of the criminal justice system did. And so they went after the bail bondsman. And they're trying to take away, right, the bail bondsman's ability to write bail bonds. They say, oh, it's stupid, it's worthless, this is discriminatory, it's discriminatory against poor people, right, and minorities, historically, discriminated against minorities, and so it's only continuing a system that is unjust. As unjust as the system may be, the bail bondsmen play an important role, because if we're letting people out without any oversight of these folks and without any ability to make people come back into jail or have any accountability whatsoever, then there's no way that we have leverage to get these people back into court. Okay? And if you have oversight, you're not going to always prevent this from this happening like it did here.
Right.
Okay? These kinds of things are going to happen.
They happen all the time.
Okay, but think about if nobody is keeping track of where this defendant is once he gets out. Nobody's keeping track of and he's got his money's not on the hook. He doesn't. There's not his family's money's not on the hook, right? You've got no bail bondsman looking up, tracking him. Okay, he's gonna be able to do this at his own discretion. Okay, and maybe he gets caught this time, but otherwise he kills somebody and then just goes to Mexico.
So what's the
And I didn't mean to imply that this is a Hispanic problem. I'm just saying goes to some foreign country that you never find him again, and there's no way to make him show back up in court because they're just gonna PR bond him.
So what's the fix?
A PR bond is just a personal recognizance bond. They don't have to pay any money, and they're pushing for letting them out within like 24 hours. Well, that's exactly the problem. And so they should have a hold for 48 to 72 hours.
Even that's not going to do it. If the person wants it, they're going to get you.
It's a cool down stage. It probably I don't know how much.
I mean, it's better than nothing. I guess
it's better than nothing. At least gives the victim time to make arrangements.
What about a bracelet? Or is that against constitutional right?
I mean, no. If they wanted bail, they could agree to place a bracelet on it. The problem, I think, with those is logistically or even realistically, is there a way to cut this off? When I say cut, I mean like get rid of the bracelet.
I'm sure there's a way to figure out if it gets cut, it kills the circuit, and so on and so forth. But that's a minor detail. I saw that, and I'm thinking to myself, I just want everybody to know, just because you got a restraining order doesn't mean squat. So if you're fearful of your life and you want to do something, you might consider learning how to use a firearm.
And leaving. I would say if it's serious enough, I'd leave the house.
Why should I have to leave the house? That's the problem. Why should
Well,
I
you
have
don't have to do anything. I'm just trying to avoid a situation like this. The problem is, you don't know this is coming. It wasn't. Maybe he tried to assault you, but it wasn't that bad. You know, you don't see it escalating to the point of, oh, he's going to come back and kill me this time. And you got to be careful. I mean, go talk to somebody. Go to. They've got shelters. They've got. I mean, ask the police if they'll do some.
I would think
targeting.
If a person has a restraining order put on them, the person who asked for the restraining order, because we talked about this before, the person who gets a restraining order on him had to have some type of evidence to show that he was worthy of having a restraining order put on him. And if that is the case, the person who's trying to be protected should be given every opportunity for comfort to be in their own home, their own place, without having to be fearful and running away. So instead of running away from the house, they should, be more observed with the individual having a bracelet on so they can track them, or the person in the home be prepared to defend themselves with a firearm and get training, whatever it takes. But to cause the victim to have to worry and have to maybe run away to protect them, I just think that's crazy. But you're right, there should be some type of correction on how to fix this, because if they're just going out there on their own and nobody's watching them, then it's worthless, the piece of paper.
We do have the victims' rights. The victims coordinator, you're going to get money and shelter for free in a lot of cases. If you're going to get these shelters that reach out, that's what I guess maybe I should have talked about. All of there's a lot of shelters in Central Texas that you can go to if this is happening, and they'll put you up, they'll keep you for a while, help you make sure everybody's safe, on your feet, and some are really nice, extremely nice places. More like hotels than like homeless shelters. It's not the same thing. Okay, and it's hard to say.
How does the witness protection program work or fall into play with this?
You're not going to get witness protection on it when it's a family violence type of deal. You're talking about RICO statutes. Maybe they need to have something like that. They don't really have anything like that on the state level.
Since we're going all over the map here, what is the witness protection program? How does it work, and who is able to get on it, and who pays for it? And do you totally change your life like Elvis Presley and just hide from society and only show up at gas stations?
Man, that's Rick Dodd's area. Yeah, we don't. That's not within the same realm of a family violence case, but maybe something like that is more of the answer. But you just there's no good answer to stop repeat offenders. And you can say, well, why don't we just keep them in jail indefinitely until we go back to court? Well, man, you
can't do that.
Think about a divorce case. Then it's already manipulated the process. But if a spouse knows that she can get her husband put in jail the entire time for their divorce case, so he can't go get a lawyer, she can take all of his property. All she got to do is make this allegation. Oh man, that's whew. I can see that there being some abusive process. Absolutely, if that were the case.
In your judgment, Ross, when you look at the legal system, being an attorney extraordinaire like you are, how much of a mess is the legal system?
It's a mess, but a lot of things, there's really no good answer to this stuff. And it's a very difficult situation. Some of it, I think, is the best that it could be.
Would you say that the legal system is really good, but it's the problem with, like we've always discussed here, how black and white has turned to gray based on the attitude of a jury?
Black and white has, in too many cases, turned to gray. A It should be. We should go back to clear standards.
But is it gray because of the opinion of a jury and what the judge allows to go in, or
No,
is it the way it's written itself?
Because of these damn lawyers, right? They're just one side just arguing for this and this and this, and you got, and politics, man. Politics have really skewed, what the original visions of the country were supposed to be. As far as criminal wise, I can't moan and complain enough about how the First Amendment and Fourth Amendment are no longer taken seriously, and especially the Fourth Amendment. The Fourth Amendment, I always say this phrase, is useless, right?
Well, let's tell everybody what it is. And why.
Fourth Amendment prevents unlawful, unreasonable searches and seizures. Okay, this is what prevents police officers from just busting in your house, right, and doing a search of all your personal papers and your iPhone and your computer, right, unless they've got a warrant.
Now, I mean, a traffic stop, I've heard this, correct me if I'm wrong, an officer, if he wants to, if they have the device to do it, they can take your phone and scan it, right? I've heard that on the news.
I haven't had that situation come up. That's going to be a problem.
I think that, man, that would be good. That would be very.
If they could just, scan your phone.
iPhone, your cell phone is like your brain. It's your brain inside of an electronic box.
I know there was already a big case that came out 2 years ago, and they talked about the level of privacy for a personal cell phone, and having as much privacy as a home. I mean, it's as sacred to the person as the person's own personal papers, books inside their home.
Well, in reality, it's like you're interfacing with your phone. So they want to get this electronics in your body. Well, right now it's in your hand, and that's part of it. It's your thought process. It's your ideas. It's your concepts. It's your fears. It's your joys. It's whatever you're looking up or referencing. That's in there, and it's your private thing because they can't dissect your brain, but they can strip your phone from all the data that's in it, which is essentially the same thing as dissecting your.
And
body.
I would say that that's theft. I'm not obviously not a big technology guy. There's things that I need help with from experts, but it depending on what kind of data it is, and they're just scanning it and taking it. What's the difference in doing that and scanning my credit card and taking my credit card information, which is theft? Okay, if they're doing that, then that's theft. That's not a legal use of a scanner, so to speak. I would say there needs to be launched a Fourth Amendment case in that situation. But again, that's why I said it's almost as if the Fourth Amendment doesn't exist. Instead of the cops, I hate saying that word, instead of police officers respecting the boundary and saying it used to be that way almost, I feel like in a lot of cases, DAs instead of saying, whoa, why should, instead of just charging a case anyway, just because there's a complaint, I feel like it used to be, I don't know if we can make this case stick, and this ain't right, we're not going to charge, or they go through a longer process, in my opinion, about deciding whether or not they can charge.
I like that concept because it's like, somebody may be a crook or a criminal or whatever, but you got to be fair. You got to say, is the evidence there? Because if you start cheating on this person, you're going to start cheating on somebody else. There's got to be something. That's why I'm so fanatical on the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. The Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and I made it in my opinion piece, the Constitution's the goose, the Bill of Rights are the golden eggs. Stop strangling the goose. Do whatever you want outside of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. If you got some social programs, all this kind of stuff, whatever. If it doesn't work, we'll fix it later. But don't jack with that. Comes the same thing with the legal system. We've got these laws and legal opinions and things that you go based on to make a judgment to somebody. You go through a checklist as compared to not doing that, then everybody's in jeopardy.
Right, and remember, we talked about how there's an intertwinement, and all of these Bill of Rights, all of your rights are intertwined. The first, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth. So if you start ignoring one or start trying to strangle one, okay, it's going to trickle down to the Second Amendment, to the First Amendment, to the Fifth Amendment, to the 10th. And so
I'll be honest with you, 1 through 10, they're not in numerical order. There's just the way they laid out, because the Second Amendment is the one that protects the rest. So in my opinion, the Second Amendment is the most important because it protects all your other rights.
Well, and two, your right to free speech, because if you couldn't communicate, there would be no way to know what the government is doing. Because you wouldn't be able to have your own advocate, right? You wouldn't be able to have your own representatives.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you wouldn't be able to have a representative form of government. All of them are important. They all work together. They're all maybe not every one of them is equally important, but they all have a high importance, and you need every single one of them for the other ones to work.
Since we're going to close this up in just a minute, I initially asked you about retrials and all that kind of stuff, and because this is a license to carry attorney segment, is there any way to apply a passing thought or comment when it comes to retrial in the respect of somebody who's protecting themselves with a handgun, with another aspect to think about, contemplate, and get it in your mental history, so when you apply self-defense in any way, it might be able to help you?
Well, no, I think the really good example is the man who, after there being a restraining order, goes back to the house and tries to commit assault again or burglary of that same habitation. I think we spoke about you can't be 100%. There's no way to be 100% proof through a piece of paper. Okay, to be 100% safe by using a piece of paper to do it. So, I mean, I fully advocate for you to go learn how to use a weapon, get confident with a weapon, be able to protect yourself in the home. We spoke about how many times, right, the violence actually happens in the home as opposed to being out. It happens more in the home. Okay, more people are murdered in their own home, right, than anywhere else. More people are assaulted in their own home than anywhere else. That's a fact. And so, yes, you need to be able to protect yourself and your castle and your most sacred products like your phones and your family.
I want to ask you something. You're good, so hopefully you'll be able to figure out what I'm trying to say. If you have a working knowledge of the laws, if you're a licensed to carry person, you have to sign an affidavit that you have a working knowledge of the laws and understand them. Ignorance is no excuse for the law. However, let me ask you this. If you think your head's going under the bow of the boat, the line has been crossed, and you have to defend yourself, and in the process of your mental thought thinking, I have to do this, it may have crossed the lines of what is legal. Do you still, I think we've talked about this before, is there any leniency for ignorance? If you think and you can convey that you thought, hey.
Ever, yeah, probably so, but usually not. No.
Usually not.
Okay.
So make sure, in other words, make sure you know it. That's why everybody, you got to understand your laws. You have to mentally go through it. You have to practice it so it all works together. Okay.
No, in fact, if you don't hire a lawyer in court and you miss a rule, okay, there are about three or four rules where the court will give you a little bit of wiggle room. Okay, but generally speaking, if you don't follow the rest of the procedure, you're held to the same standard as somebody that hires a lawyer would be held to. Okay, and it's the same thing. I think if you're using a handgun, you better know what the rules are using it, and if you don't and you get in trouble using it, you've got no excuses.
Yeah. I would think the leniency would come in your home, because if you're on the street, there's a different.
Yeah, but if you're carrying, if you're carrying,
you got to know your stuff.
If you're carrying, you got to know your stuff.
Yeah, but in your home, that's a little different. Although that's not a guarantee. I'm just saying it's probably a little bit more lenient because somebody's breaking within the parameters of your castle.
And that's why they give us a presumption. So the state's gonna have to overcome this presumption that, yes, you are presumed to have a reasonable and necessary immediacy and need to use that weapon and it be in self-defense. However, they can always overcome the presumption. But
okay, this segment is sponsored by Coppolino Dodd Krebs Law Firm, and Rick, sometimes show up, and we can't thank him enough for him and his firm to do this. And we always have the attorney extraordinary, Benton Ross Watson. Ross, why don't you tell everybody how they get a hold of you? 105
East Main Street here in Cameron. That's 105 East Main Street. You can contact me for a Houston or Bryan College Station appointment. You can call my phone, 254-605-4140, 254-605-4140. Or you can email me if you got any questions about the show. We love to talk about it. It's benton@watson.legal. That's benton@watson.legal. Thank you, guys.
Fantastic. Thanks, Ross. We'll see you on the other side.